The story begins on Mustafar, inside Vader's dark and menacing castle. A hooded man stands in the presence of a powerful energy, speaking and worshipping one who seems to be his master. In his quest to resurrect the power of the Sith, he calls upon the forces beyond.
I call upon the immortal gods of the Sith, on malevolence, anger, and dread. Reach across the stars, spirits of the obsidian flame. Seek out those who have wronged us, for the Dark Lord will rise again. The Dark Lord will have his revenge.
At the Graph Archive on Orcus 2, a young man, Milo, is looking through the archives of the abandoned library with the assistance of his droid Crater, and next to him, his sister, Lena, projected through a hologram. As Milo looks through the clutter of the library, he discusses the past with Lena and how their family lived on Orcus for centuries. Growing up, they never knew of its existence, neither did their parents, as Lena pointed out. Lena expresses disgust by the fact that the Empire used the library for so many years, and the droid shares his distaste for how they showed a lack of respect and left the place in ruins. Milo is surprised by the valuable things that had been left behind by the Empire. Records of the Nameless Purge, art from the Old Republic, and diagrams from Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar. In shock, Lena distressed from hearing the name Mustafar, remembering her past experience from the time she crash-landed on the planet and barely made it out alive. Milo expresses his feelings as he wishes he was there with her. Though in Lena's discomfort, she begs Milo not to even think about traveling to Mustafar. However, Milo comforts her, telling her that those days of thoughts and wishes are gone. Lena then says goodbye as she has a meeting with General Syndulla. Milo expresses his thoughts that his sister always seems to tell him what to do. But while Crater is picking up a green glowing box, he explains that Lena is only afraid and worried about him. While looking through the library, Milo then remembers a dream he had. A dream he had about a senator and her Jedi bodyguard. A dream where he was the bodyguard, protecting the senator. While Milo speaks, Crater looks deeply into the glowing box, as if he had found something unusual. Milo proceeds to tell the story of his dream. Having just landed their starship, Anakin, Padme, Jar Jar, and their two trusty droids walk out to explore the planet Rubinero. The Senate disapproves to engage in an investigation, but Senator Amidala ignores the instructions, which Anakin supports, despite C-3PO's worries against it. Padme explains the settlement had been there since the early days of the High Republic, but now, all of a sudden, they are no longer responding to any of the messages they have been given. Jar Jar acknowledges the deserted city, and Anakin confirms that they are here to discover what happened to those who lived in it. Though after some thoughts, they decided to split up, and they all go their separate ways, even when C-3PO again expresses his worries. Walking into a dark room, all alone, C-3PO hears a loud metal sound, and in his shock, he asks if someone's there. But little does he know, a large silhouette of a green-eyed machine, bleeding green slime from its eye, is towering behind him. Anakin and Jar Jar keep investigating the city, questioning where the inhabitants are, though Jar Jar seems more interested in all the droids scattered around. Due to his clumsy behavior, he accidentally knocks over the droid he was fiddling with, leaving Anakin questioning him, like always. Eventually, they all group up together, which reminded Padme that they are missing 3PO, and asked if anyone had seen him. R2-D2 then peeps out loudly that he spots C-3PO, but something has gone truly wrong. 3PO, with one arm ripped off, carrying green and twisted glowing eyes, with oil, wires, and slime falling off of him. He approaches Anakin aggressively, pushing him away. But in a quick reactive swift, Anakin cuts C-3PO in half with his lightsaber, wondering what happened to him. As 3PO's body is laying on the ground, Anakin apologizes to him, but then he notices the cables from 3PO starts to rise from the ground, and all of a sudden, C-3PO stands before him, resurrected from the dead. 3PO shoots his cables at Anakin, wrapping them around his mechno arm and his body. But C-3PO is not the only one, for the droids that were scattered around the city, now awoken by the unknown twisted evil, attacks Jar Jar and Padme at the same time. One of the droids manages to capture Jar Jar, pulling him down on the ground, letting the other droids surround him with their darkness. Screaming out for help to Padme, who is also fighting for her life, she grabs her hands around one of the droids and throws it into the pile of droids to capture Jar Jar, setting him free from the struggle. Anakin, now wrapped up in wires, having dropped his lightsaber, comments on the sarcastic jokes of Obi-Wan if he had seen this, before he uses the Force to get his lightsaber back in his hands. Cutting off the wires, he manages to set himself free and wonders if the oil has been corrupted. Then, with a powerful Force push, Anakin pushes the droids far back, letting Jar Jar, Padme, and himself escape. But unknown to Anakin, the wires, still wrapped around his mechanical arm, took control of it and grabbed Padme. Without letting go of her, the arm was slowly trying to pull both of them back. Luckily, Jar Jar steps in, picks up a metal plate with his sticky tongue, and swings it around with such a fast momentum that it hits Anakin's possessed arm and he cuts it off completely, saving Anakin from the wires. Though it wasn't all over, for just as Anakin started to run further, C-3PO grabbed Anakin and pulled him back. But then, all of a sudden, R2-D2 jumps in between, attacking C-3PO to save Anakin's life. However, this came at a cost, a great sacrifice which turned R2 into one of the evil droids. Anakin, looking at his corrupted friend, who sacrificed his life to save his master. Feeling lost and sad, Anakin freezes up. But he is quickly reminded by Padme that there is nothing they can do, but that R2's sacrifice should not be wasted. Jar Jar, Anakin, and Padme manage to escape with their ship, leaving the droids for good. The droids standing on the ground are looking up at the flying spaceship, calling out their master. Disbelieved with what they just experienced, Anakin and Padme are troubled by the thought of what happened to the settlers of the city. They saw no body, no remains, no mark of life. What happened to them? Anakin asks Jar Jar for his opinion, but receives no response. Looking back at Jar Jar, he sees something truly horrifying. Jar Jar, corrupted by the evil, twisted by the wires, attacks Anakin and Padme with the mission to kill. And that's when I woke up. Ain't freaky, eh? After telling his story about the dream, Milo expresses that he will not look at the droids the same ever again, but he reassures that he doesn't think anything terrible of his droid, Crater, as he would never hurt anyone. In the background, however, Crate is still looking at the green box, ignoring what Milo has to say. Milo suggests it was only a dream and that it carried no importance. But then, a fierce and powerful lightning strike hits Milo in the back, making him fall on the ground, leaving him unconscious or dead. Crate walks up behind his body.
Yes, only a dream. I would never hurt anyone. Unless my Dark Lord commands.
So, what do you guys think of this interesting story? It's definitely a special take on a Star Wars horror, and, well, I suppose we will have to wait and see what happens next. If you enjoyed the video, I think you know exactly what to do. And also, remember, may the Force be with you.